A couple of minutes as this goes. Hello and good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of Toastmasters Takeoff. And before I begin, I would like to thank everyone for the immense amount of support that I have received from all of you. But people who kind of stop me and tell me that, takeoff is great. And I only hope that it is adding value to whatever you learn. If at any point you feel that if there's a problem with my audio or video, just let me know, because it is showing that the internet is little glitchy on my side, for want of a better word. So today we are going to cover the art of the laugh. So let me ask you a question. How many of you feel that there is a talent? Show of hands. How many of you feel that humor is a talent? Just give me a show of hands if you think that humor is a talent, like people are born humorous. Okay, Jatin has raised his hand. Girish and Bhimani joining in. Somebody has given me a thumbs up. Durva has raised her hand. Sunil thinks that it is a talent. Quite a few people think that it is a talent. Well, I hate to break it to you all. Humor is not a talent, humor is a skill. And you know what is the thing about skills? Skills can be learned, and you can learn humor. I say that because I learned humor. I was not a funny person to begin with. I still don't think that I'm funny. You'll find a lot of people where the opinion is divided. Some people think I'm beyond hilarious. Then there are there is a section of the population that thinks that I'm insufferable. So different perspectives, depending on what side of the joke you are. So I would say that people are not born funny. Yes, there is talent. Some people have the talent, some people have the knack of timing, but people can become funny. Why? Because humor is a skill and a skill can be learned. So, what do you think that funny people do normally? Can you answer me in the chat or just
They are always witty,
how
prompt.
are they witty? Why are they witty? Question is why
Yeah,
are
it
they
it
witty?
can
What makes them
it,
witty?
it can be a natural skill too. Having said that, it can be sharpened as well, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
This skill
But
can be sharpened as well with time and experience.
when you say that they are witty, means what? What exactly do you mean that they're witty?
Uh,
Always
if
ready with a joke?
exactly a joke or a answer
They are
which
basically quick to answer. How do you think those answers have come to them?
it may be their brain mapping or their brain structure or the environment they have lived in. It shapes their brain wiring and their wittiness.
Okay, here's another question. Where do you think humor comes from?
If
If
I am living in a group where most of the people are prompt, so I would naturally learn that skill. If I hear them out, if I listen to those people, it would help me gain that skill.
you're basically leveraging the fact that you are the average of five people around you.
Yes,
You're basically saying that you are the average of five people around you.
yes.
Fair enough. Not at all a bad argument to make. Yes, you are the average of five people around you. But at the same time, just one sec, let me just disable the waiting room so that people can straight away come in. I know not the wisest thing to do. For some reason, it is not letting you disable. So I'll have to manually admit people. Um, where were we? I mean, it's a myth that people are naturally funny. Some of us might be. Some of us might be born with the gift of the gap. But like I said before, humor is a skill, and a skill can be learned. Many people have a collection of experiences, okay, which they are able to recall at the drop of a hat or just like this. Because they have a different mindset than we do. What is that mindset? Can anyone tell me? What is that mindset?
Can you
That
please repeat your question?
funny people have a mindset. They have a different mindset from people who are not funny or who think that they are not funny. Funny people,
Sorry.
sorry, because I waited and now I'm going to answer. Funny people, funny people find humor in every walk of life. And this is something that I suggested in my club. I actually saw it in uh, DOTM, Delhi Orators Toastmasters Club. Delhi Orators. Oh, I mean, it's a very famous club. They had a specific role. Now, how many of you have listening roles in your active listener role in your club? How many of you have that? An active listener role? Do you have an active listener role who just notes down questions and, okay. Here is a suggestion, and this is a daring suggestion. Delhi One Toastmasters used to do it. They had a role called an observational humorist. Let me repeat that, an observational humorist. So, what the observational humorist would do is the observational humorist would note down the things that happened in a meeting and derive humor out of those people. Okay, and derive humor out of those moments. So that is the first thing that you need to do. I mean, I learned this from that role, that you have to become, you have to look for funny things in everyday life. You have to look at the funny side of things. That is what makes you a humorist. That's number one. Number two, you need to collect your experiences. So every time there is something that happens, you just respond in a humorous fashion. Making sense? You just respond in a humorous fashion. So you collect all humorous stories. Basic thing that I'm trying to say is, okay, Arun, could you please mute yourself? Thank you. The basic thing that I'm trying to tell you is, don't wait for inspiration. Build an inventory. Okay. Narayan, you've raised your hand. I'll keep your just hold till the end of the session. I'll answer your question, whatever question you have. Just write it down for the moment. Okay. So, what are the funny experience? What can go in your collection? Well, funny experiences, strange conversations, observations, absurdities, overheard lines, some failed jokes, or potential callbacks. Now, having a joke is one thing. Getting a joke to succeed is quite another. So, why does it happen that some jokes kill? Okay, some jokes actually kill. I mean, people hear them and they burst out laughing. And yet, the same joke, when you tell it at another place, it totally bombs. Why does it happen? Here is what I think I know about humor. I mean, I came up with 5 C's. Of these, 3 C's are essential. Okay. The first C is the concept of a joke, the concept of humor. This is where you ask the question, is there actually a joke? Let's say that I am trying to tell a Christmas joke to this audience. Now, somebody like Jim will immediately get it because the concept is clear to Jim. The concept of Christmas is clear to Jim. Okay. For someone who is not into Christmas, the context will not immediately be clear. So I'll have to explain what happens in Christmas and why this is a joke. And the moment I have to do that, I'm looking at concept. Okay. The second C is content. Content is language that you are using and the fact that if it is the funniest way to express it. And the third C, which is the most, which is one of the three important C's, is context. So you've got concept, you got content, and then you got context. What is context? Context is the environment in which you are telling a joke. Now, except for Jim, how many of you have grown up listening to Sardar jokes? So, Jim, for context, Sardars or Sikhs are the equivalent of blondes. Okay. So, a lot of jokes are made around them. So, how many of you grew up listening to Sardar jokes? Show of hands. Okay. Now, let's see the concept. If I'm telling a Sardar joke to somebody like Jim, I'll have to explain the fact that Sardars in India are treated the same way blondes are treated in the United States. A lot of jokes get made around them. Okay, so Jim will have to understand the concept first before he starts laughing at my joke. So if I'm having to do too much of explaining, if I'm not getting into the joke within the first 10 seconds, my joke is going to fail at concept. Then comes the content. For example, if I am telling a wife joke right now, and I see that I've got Sagarika, I've got Monica, I've got Seema, and I've got Vijaya, and I also got Durva. Now, I've got a sizable female audience in this room. But the moment I tell a wife joke, I'm going to alienate them. You understand what I mean by content? So many times when you're telling a joke, your content fails you. Example being, you're telling an adult joke in front of children. Your content is going to fail you there. Then the third one is context. Context is the environment in which you are telling the joke. And you'll say that how do content and context differ? Let me tell you this. Let me explain. 2017 World Championship of Public Speaking, Manoj Vasudevan, the person who won, he goes for a joke. He says that 4th of July, USA got its independence. I lost mine. I got married. And I could not help but notice the joke was funny, but he got a muted response. Why would he get a muted response? Look, we as Indians, we literally identify ourselves as Americans, so we'll laugh at the joke, no matter what. Canadians don't care. He was telling this joke in Vancouver. Canadians don't care about 4th of July. I've been there, I've seen that. The only reason they look forward to 4th of July is because you get discounts at Walmart and Costco. Other than that, they don't care about 4th of July. They're more concerned about the 1st of July, which is Canada Day. That is context. Where are you telling this joke? If I go and tell a Sardar joke in Australia, in a audience that is mostly English speaking, they will not understand. That is context. But if I go and tell the same joke in a Gurudwara, I'm going to get beaten up. That is where content is failing me. Okay. Now, if your joke is failing and you think that you delivered it well, look at these three things: concept, content, context. It is failing at one of these three things. Your joke is not funny because it is failing either at concept or at content or at context. Now, apart from this, there are two more C's, and those are add-ons. If your joke satisfies all three conditions, concept, content, context, the fourth C is a callback. What is callback? Suppose I tell you a joke today. You get reminded of the joke tomorrow. Will you still laugh at it or not? If it brings a smile to your face, then that joke is funny. And that joke is scoring on callback. You're getting a bonus. The joke is scoring on callback. Now, the fifth C is connection. What is connection? Connection is you hear a joke and you're like, yes, this has happened to me. The immediate connect that happens the moment you hear a joke. For example, if I was to say that across religions, across ethnicities, across countries, across borders, there is one thing and only one thing that unites the human race. It's not religion, it's not politics. It's the fact that we think that we are the best car driver in the world. Okay? We think everybody else on the road is stupid. We are the smartest person on the road. Does this relate to anyone? Has anyone ever encountered a really stupid person on the road? If you have, you will understand what I mean, and that is a connection. Okay, and connection is another add-on. So the 5 C's of a joke: concept, content, context. If your joke is failing, it is failing at one of these three. Two add-ons: callback, connection. Callback is, will I laugh at the joke tomorrow? Connection, did the joke hit me right at that moment? Did I hear the joke and say, yep, that's me. I've heard this one before and I totally relate to it. That is connection. I will now go. Then there is delivery. There is the voice and the body language. Of course, delivery plays a big part. I'll not cover that here. I would suggest that you watch some humorous speeches and you will see how delivery matters, how your body language matters, how your vocal variety matters. And that is a whole different topic altogether. And maybe I'll cover body language and vocal variety in another episode of Toastmasters Takeoff. I just want to share the judges ballot with you, and I'm going to tell you how the judges mark when you are delivering a humorous speech. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm going to send a request to be allowed to share. Okay, let's try this again. Mm. Can you see the judges ballot on your screens? Are you able to see the judges ballot?
Yes.
Okay, this is a watered down version of judges ballot. I mean, I've just taken out the judging category and how marks are allotted. As you can see, 55 marks are there for content. So your content matters a lot. And when I say content, I also mean concept and context. Okay. Then there is delivery. Delivery carries 30 marks, and appropriateness and correctness, which is language, it carries 15 marks. Okay. I have boiled down to the judging criteria to simple questions. And I'll be sharing this PDF with you, so you don't need to take notes as such. But speech development, worth 15 marks. Here is a simple test question. If somebody misses 1 minute of your speech, will they still understand where the speech is going? That is your test. If that is happening, you're going to score on speech development. Then effectiveness. Did the audience feel, think, or laugh the way I intended? Many times it happens, you've told a joke, the audience doesn't laugh, or you get a muted response. Again, go back to the 3 C's where your joke is failing. Then the speech value. The speech value is, if I take out all the jokes, is there an idea underneath? Are people still able to follow? Treat it as a normal speech. And then there is, of course, the audience response. Did the audience laugh or at least smile? And a lot of judges, they get carried away with this because if they hear more laughter, they tend to give you more marks. Then there is physical. Simple test. If I mute the sound, is my body helping to tell the story? And then there is voice. If I turn off the video and you are listening only to my voice, is it still telling the story? And then there is manner. Am I conversing? Am I telling a story or am I merely presenting? Then we come to the appropriateness. Can I make my speech work with an entirely different audience? So I might be telling adult jokes. Can I tell that to a group of kids? Can I tell that same speech to a group of kids? That is my criteria. And finally, is the audience focusing on my speech or on my words? That is correctness. Because the moment you say one thing that doesn't sound right, the audience right now is going to form an impression of you. Which brings me to my final topic. I'm going to stop sharing. My final topic. A lot of people say that, you know, a speech should have jokes. Yes, when you're giving a humorous speech, it should be funny. But should all speeches have jokes? My take is that humor at the end of the day is a prop. Just like any prop you use in a speech. For example, if this is the pencil and I'm using this, I have this coffee mug with me, using this as a prop. Ask yourself one question. If I take this prop out of my speech, does my speech effectiveness change? If it doesn't change, your speech does not need to have that prop. Jokes and humor go the same way. Take out the humor, ask yourself, does my speech still make sense? If yes, unless it is a humorous speech, no need to add humor. At least that is what my take is. So, if I was to summarize this, I would simply want to say you don't need to be a comedian. You need to notice, you need to collect, you need to tell stories, you need to connect. But most of all, when you are telling a humorous speech, you just need to be yourself. You need to have a conversation with the audience, a humorous one. And that is the art of the laugh. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so very much. This is where you clap, and this is where you get to ask me questions. So, any questions regarding what we just covered, or anything else about Toastmasters? Anyone, any questions? Arun has raised his hand. Okay. First, let's go to Arun.
When I delivered my first icebreaker speech, Toastmaster Alok was my evaluator. He told me your speech was no doubt excellent, but it did not have any takeaway.
Hmm,
So that day I learned that every speech must have some takeaway.
hmm.
Now my question is, is it applicable to humorous speech as well?
Yes, especially when it comes to Toastmasters humorous speeches, it is applicable. Why? Because there is a marking criteria called speech development and speech value. Both of these correspond to the message or the takeaway. The speech value is what is the value that my audience is getting out of this. This is where a Toastmasters humorous speech differs from a stand-up comedy act. A stand-up comedy act might not have funny moments. But a Toastmasters humorous speech, it will have funny moments, but it might not have a message. But a Toastmasters humorous speech will have funny moments and it will have a message. So, absolutely right. There needs to be a takeaway even in a humorous speech. Hope that answers your question.
But when you are making people laugh, so doesn't it mean that you are giving them something humor? Because in case of the Kapil
You are
show,
just specific, you're just satisfying a generic purpose. There are
okay,
two purposes to your speech. There is generic purpose and then there is a specific purpose. Generic purposes, you entertain them.
hmm.
Great, you satisfied that. Specific purposes, what do they do after they've listened to your speech? That is why I'm saying it is not the same as a stand-up comedy act. Stand-up comedy act does not bother itself with the message. It just bothers itself with making people laugh. That is where a humor speech in Toastmasters differs from a stand-up comedy act. So yes, so Toastmaster Alok was absolutely right. The speech needs to have a takeaway. Any other question? Somebody else had a question. I guess Narayan, you raised Jatin. What is your question?
Well, whenever I observe my friends in my office or in my personal circle, naturally, without any intention, I notice them and I mimic them later. And
Hmm.
even I don't know on which gestures I would be mimicking them, but it is my characteristic, and people laugh a lot. So, how can I capitalize this skill in my speeches or in my general life so that it can benefit me most?
I think I answered that question today in the chat itself. So if you go through the chat, you will find the answer there, Jatin. I'm
Okay, I
I'm
would
not
go.
I'm refraining from answering that because We can answer other questions. Narayan, you have a question?
Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
from TMWD.
Yes, right. Yeah, I remember.
Hello.
I haven't been able to come to the club for some time. But anyway, my question
Mhm.
is it okay to retrofit jokes into your speech? Because
Retrofit means that you have
as
a
in write the
and
speech
you
and
add
then
you
try
want to
to
add jokes
bring
later.
in jokes into it.
Remember what I said about jokes being a prop?
Yeah.
Use that. If you add a joke, does it add value to your speech? If the answer is no, don't add the joke. If
Okay.
the answer is yes, by all means, go ahead, add the joke.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
A
better
long
to
story
keep it
short,
out if it doesn't.
long story short, treat your joke as a prop. If you take out the prop, does your speech lose its meaning? If it does, keep it. If it doesn't, you can take it out. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Right.
Thank you. Uh, Anybody else? Any other question? Okay. If you are not going to ask questions, then I'm going to. Okay. Manish has a question. Yes, Manish.
So I have two questions. One is like when you are delivering your
Hmm.
content, how to make sure that people don't get offended by some of your like jokes.
The best way to make sure that people don't get offended is to make the joke about yourself, self-deprecating. I also answered it in the chat. You laugh with them, you don't laugh at them. I see a lot of stand-up comedy routines where people make fun of people in the audience. I find that off-putting because as an audience, I would not want to be that person. So, simple rule, laugh with them, don't laugh at them. Okay, if you're going to laugh at them, if you're going to make fun of them, then be ready to get some feedback also. And that feedback will not be pleasant. I often say that you can control your actions, you cannot control the consequences of your actions. Which is why I gave that long-winded answer to Jatin's question where he asked, you know, can I tell jokes about others? Yes, you can, but you laugh with them, you don't laugh at them. Narayan, you have another question. Manish, I'll come back to you for your second
Yeah.
question. Yes, Narayan, you have to unmute for that to work.
Can I ask my question now?
Yeah.
So my question pertains to the humorous speech competition. So do you set about writing a humorous speech, or do you see some potential for humor in a particular situation or speech that you have maybe already written or is in your mind, and then develop it into a humorous speech?
I purposely write a humorous speech.
Okay. Can you expand
And
on
I'll tell
that?
you, yeah, I'm going to expand on that. To me, a speech consists of 5 parts. There is an opening, then there are 3 stories which form the body, and then there is a closing. For me, an opening for me, a humorous speech is a collection of about 5 to 7 stories organized into opening, body, and conclusion. And my aim is to make the audience laugh at least once every minute, which is why I go about collecting stories first, and then I identify the 5 or 7 funniest stories or situations that I can add to my speech. So yes, I purposely write a humorous speech to your question.
I have a follow-up on that.
Let's go back to Manish. He's raised his hand, and then I'll come back to you. We'll extend it by a couple of minutes today. Yes, Manish, your question.
Yes. My second question is so you have an audience who belongs from different community and different ethnicity, and you want to deliver a joke. You know that your joke is funny, but should we restrict ourselves by knowing that you want to crack a joke on some like traditional
Simple
or
question. Are you going to
political?
offend? Are you going to offend them with your joke? Is there a
Yeah, yeah,
if
like
you're going to offend them? And
or
if it
should
is a
I restrict my jokes
if it is a
that
Toastmaster speech, and if you're going to offend them, do not
yeah,
do that. Stand-up comedy, yes, you can do that. In fact, stand-up comedies do that. Narayan, Sangeet, Sagarika has her hand up. Let me go to her, then I'll come back to you. Yes, Sagarika, how can I help?
Yeah, hi, good evening, sir.
Hmm.
So, you said about this drawing everyday, finding humor in everyday life. So,
Hmm.
if I want to build an inventory, humor inventory from everyday life, like what exactly should I write down? The incident or the
You have
funny
a
line?
phone? You have a phone?
Sorry,
Do you have a phone with you?
I have my phone.
Yeah. Um, iPhone or Android?
It's an Android phone.
Just download a voice note app. Okay.
Uh,
Um, I use Easy Note. I use Easy Note. Basically, I can talk into it. I can give you the name of the exact app that I'm using. I can talk into it. It will
okay,
convert it into a joke, and then I copy paste that joke into a Google document. Okay.
okay, okay,
Okay.
okay,
Why do I speak? Because the moment I hear it, I find it funny. So rather
Mhm.
than type it out, because by the time I'm done typing it out, I'm going to get bored. So I straight
Okay.
away just record a voice note, and then I transcribe that voice note into a Word document. Make
All
sense?
right, all right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You're most
Yes.
welcome. Yes, Narayan, we come back to you finally. Again, it works when you are unmuted.
Coming back to your comment about how you construct your humorous speeches, you said you develop 5 or 6 stories.
I don't
Uh,
develop, I actually keep a bank and I pull stories
yeah,
out.
okay. You have a bank of 5 or 6 stories that
More than that.
you use in your humorous speech.
Actually,
Uh,
it's a bank of around 57 stories now.
okay.
Mm.
So, do you feel, or at least that's what I have been hearing, is that you have more than 2 or 3 stories within your speech, it gets a little too much for people to track what is happening, and maybe you
Actually,
might be
when I
losing your
write,
audience.
when I write
But
my
of course,
speech,
yeah,
I
the
actually incorporate every story that I can think of related to the subject, and then I reduce it to about 600 to 700 words.
okay,
Then
okay,
I pick my stories because it's easier to take content out when there is more content than to add content when there is less content.
okay,
So I actually write every story that I can think of. I cram it up. I first get my laundry list of stories, then I organize them, identify the opening story, the three stories that will form the body, and the final closing story. Sometimes I'll have more than three stories in the body itself.
okay. This is something I have felt that, when I have a story, even if it is 2 or 3 stories, I prefer that they be in continue within one story, even if
Yeah,
they
all
might
of
have
them need to
happened
contribute to the
differently.
message.
Yeah.
All of them need to contribute to the message. That is what I'm saying. The moment I have a subject, I'm going to get reminded. I'll just pick out the stories that relate to that subject. Then I
Okay.
look at the core message of my speech.
But
Then I
they can be in
organize.
different settings and happening at a different point of time as
If
well.
they happen in the same setting, great. If they happen in the same setting, great. Even if you've got two or three stories, pick out the funniest one. If you can tell it, let's say, for about 3 minutes, then you've got your single story for the body.
Hmm.
For example, I have a story about how I got into the back of a police car. Now, what is the immediate thought that is coming to your head? This guy got arrested. Okay,
Hmm.
but that is not what happened. I was in Canada. I fell asleep on a on a lounge chair that was next to a river. I woke up at 3 in the morning, and the policeman was standing on my head, and he thought that I had gone there to commit suicide. Okay, now again, there are stories within this. I mean, first story is that the moment I saw the policeman, I still thought that I was in my home. Maybe, you kind of think that you're in your bed. I felt that my roommate had messed up somehow, and now the police are standing on my head. That was the first thing that came to mind. Second story could be when the policeman said that you've come here to commit suicide. I'm like, dude, if I've come here to commit suicide, then why would I wait till 3:15 in the morning? I would have committed it a long time ago. Why particularly at 3:15 in the morning? Okay. Then the third story is that he also thought that I was a drug dealer, and I'm like, do I look like a drug dealer to you? The point is that I can use all of these three stories, or maybe I can pick out the funniest story and stretch it out to 3 minutes. That becomes my body. Make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Your VP membership, Nidhi Bhatt, has a question. Nidhi, how can I help? Good to see you here.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. My question was, suppose you are a humorous speech evaluator and you have to evaluate my speech, humorous speech. What would you look for?
Oh,
So,
God. That's a loaded question. Short and simple, Nidhi. What I will look for is, are you delivering the speech naturally or not? Is the humor coming to me naturally or not? When I'm listening to your speech, do I instinctively laugh? Or do I have to look at your face and see that you're smiling and then realize, oh, this is a funny moment. Now I have to laugh. That makes sense? That is the one thing that I'm looking for. If I'm evaluating your speech, if I'm judging your speech, I'll go by the judging criteria. But if I'm evaluating your speech, first thing that, you're saying that it's a humorous speech, I'm going to see that if that laugh is coming naturally or is it being forced out of me. Make sense?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Understood.
Girish, you had raised your hand and then I think you developed cold feet. Are you sure you don't have a question?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you that, but somehow I got part of answer. So I was asking, like you said, you have to 57 stories with you right now. So are you taking those stories from the surrounding, or you make it by yourself?
Every time I encounter a funny moment, I record and then I put it inside my Google Doc.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
I
thanks for
think
that.
that's all the time we have for today. I'm going to, and I think we went